like, you know what, God, I give up. I'm tired of this. I'm done. Not in the sense of I'm giving up on having a family. It's I'm surrendering control. I'm tired of controlling this. This is out of my control. It has been out of my control this whole time. So I have to let go of the mindset that I can do something to make this happen.
Happy Mother's Day! Today's episode features a very special story from a mother's pregnancy journey of experiencing doubt in the waiting season. World changer, friend, youth leader, mentor, and a name you might recognize from part 3 of episode 6, Bri Leonard is a courageous, relentless woman of God, sharing her story and encouragement through what felt like the impossible. This is Bri Leonard.
Welcome to the Endeavor series. I am your host, Greysa Lemons, and this is my beautiful friend, Bri. I'm so excited to have you here. The Endeavor series is meant to inspire and equip a generation to pursue their God-given purpose through a lifestyle of grit. So expect laughing, expect some tears, and expect to get a boost of inspiration after this episode. I love it. Tears from Harper or tears from us?
Yes,
let's see what happens.
one or the other.
One or the other. Okay, well, hi, Bri. I love you. I've known Bri since my entire teenage childhood.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, Bri is someone who I would consider to be an incredible mentor, not only to me, but to so many other young girls in junior high, high school. She brought me through it. She saw my ugly, deep, horrible, beautiful parts of teenage years, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her.
Oh, thanks. I love you.
So who are you, Bri? Where are you coming from? What are you doing right now in your life?
Yeah, so I am Bri. I am a wife and a mom, and I am from Oklahoma originally, lived in California for almost 8 years now. And when I'm not a wife and a mom, I am a teacher and a youth pastor's wife. And also apparently a teether to a teething baby right now. So, yeah.
We love her. We love her so much. So you're from Oklahoma?
Yes.
Originally?
I'm from Oklahoma. Originally, Oklahoma City. OKC, let's go. Woo. Yep.
And you moved out to where?
To Fresno.
Fresno.
Yep.
My hometown.
Fresno, California. Good old valley.
How long have you been here?
Almost 8 years in August. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
So it's been a long time.
Wow. Okay, so teacher, youth pastor's wife, now mom. Mm-hmm. Also hero, overtaking the world right now.
Thank you. I try. No, I'm just kidding. All glory to God.
So funny. What has been like a challenge or an endeavor in your life that you've experienced?
Well, I am 30, so that's 30 years of challenges, right? And the journey is long, but worth it. Oh, okay, then she stopped. The biggest challenge that I have recently overcome was just trusting God with His timing. Yeah, and having faith that He's going to do what He promised, even if it's not always what I expected it to be. Mm-hmm. And with that, we're going to bounce.
We're going to go into our next challenge in life currently.
Oh, yeah.
Baby crying. We have now transitioned into baby bopping at the moment.
Sorry.
Well, Bri's sharing her story.
Life of a mother, right? So anyways, but yeah, that's about me. Just trusting God with His timing and believing that He's going to do what He says He's going to do.
Yeah. And what did that look like? What specifically was the challenge that you went through? Yeah, we'll start there.
Yeah. So my husband and I had tried for a baby for a really long time. And after about 2.5 years of trying, we had some issues with doctors and had to switch doctors, and that was just a whole ordeal. But when we got our new doctors and started going through the fertility clinic right about 2.5 years, we were discovering that we had what was called just unknown infertility. We didn't know why or what was going on. We just weren't getting pregnant. And so we did a series of treatments. They're called IUI treatments. We did 3 of those, and it's like the lesser invasive IVF, and it's a little bit more affordable. So we did that, and nothing was happening. And so it was just a really discouraging time in our lives, and we wanted to start our family, and it just wasn't working for us. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember, like, because at this time before I had moved to Southern California, I lived in Fresno, and I remember, like, just being at youth group and, like, being like there during that season of your life of trying, and we were all, like, excited and, like, also, like, crying and mourning, like, with you, and, like, I'm already getting emotional. But, like, I just remember, like, seeing, like, that was such a, like, difficult time, because it's like, why, God, you know, like, like I even remember, like, some of the questions were like, man, so many people go through their life where, like, they get pregnant and, like, they didn't want to have a child, you know, and then, like, here we are, it's like we're trying to get pregnant and, like, we can't have a child. Like, what, like, it's so crazy how, like, things can happen in that way.
Yeah, and through that, you know, in the moment, I was always, like, angry, you know, that other people could get pregnant with no problem. Or, you know, I would look at people who got pregnant that weren't married, and to believers' standards, you know, the standard is that you start your life in unity in marriage if you want to start a family. And so I was upset because I was like, God, I've done everything right. And this is going to be so funny because Greysa knows my love for this book series, but the Chronicles of Narnia, I was reading throughout this time of infertility, and I know it's a kids series, but it's really good. And the author he's really profound in his writing. And in one of his books, there is a situation that happens where the Jesus Christ-like character in the story, whose name is Aslan, he actually attacks somebody and scratches up one of the main characters on her back. Her whole back was scratched up. She was in recovery for like weeks. And her friend, who had seen this happen, asked Aslan later, why did you do that? Because you're a loving, like, godly character, right? And Aslan told this kid, he said, that's for her to know. That's her story. She'll find out through me, but that's not for you to know. So later you come to find out that she was being disciplined for the way that she had treated somebody, and it was a maid that she had that she mistreated, and the maid was whipped. And so basically it was just Aslan's way of saying you have to be disciplined in order to know the level of care that I have for you. And just the craziest way. So anyways, all that to say, that's, you know, somebody else's story and their testimony. And so it took me a long time to get through that, though, and not holding on to bitterness whenever somebody else would have that dream or desire come true for them. That wasn't coming true for me in starting our family.
Yeah, that's really good. I think, like, one of the things that I was thinking about when I was kind of, like, preparing for our, like, episode was thinking about, like, how we respond during those waiting seasons is actually so much more significant than the waiting season itself.
100%.
Or the turmoil that's happening at that moment, which is, like, kind of crazy, because it's like he just wants to know, like, what are you gonna do when it all falls apart, you know? And so, like, the first thing, like, that can happen, though, in our hearts is bitterness and and comparison. And especially, like, in something like for a woman, like, being able to, like, have a child and give birth, like, the first thing you think of, like, am I not a woman if I can't give birth? Like, you know, there's so many questions and so many things. Like, is that something that was going through your mind?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, there was, John and I were just talking about this the other day. There was a time where we went on a date to Chipotle, and there was a dad sitting at a table with his 2 kids, and John just started bawling in the Chipotle. He was just like, I just want to be a dad so bad. And, you know, as the person who carries the child, it did feel like it was on me that I wasn't. And obviously John would never have thought that thought never crossed his mind that it was my fault, you know, that we weren't having a baby. because up until that point, it was unexplained. We didn't know if it was him, if it was me. So we were dieting, we were doing everything we could under the sun to just try. And everybody so lovingly tries to give you advice, and just like, you have to look at it as people mean the best. They're saying this because they care about you. But when you give advice to somebody who's not asking for it, it comes across extremely insensitive, especially when it comes to something like this. So I ended up actually, like, I'm more of a public person than I probably should be, but I ended up just posting on social media and was like, I appreciate if you're trying to give me advice, but chances are I've probably already tried it. So it would be best just to say that you're praying for me.
Yeah.
So that was hard. It was a really, really hard time, and people meant well, but it just never came across well. And so you're dealing with the bitterness of watching others start their family. You're dealing with the bitterness of, oh, well, people just keep saying, just stop trying it, it'll happen. And that isn't always the case.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Would you say, like, that's one of the misconceptions that people might have, is like sometimes people like want to be there for you, but they don't know how to respond or react? And so, like,
yeah, the basic ones were, oh, I had a friend who adopted and then they got pregnant, or the whole stop trying it, it'll happen, or have you tried this diet, have you tried this diet, or hey, just stop stressing, cut stress out of your life, that'll help you. Have you considered adoption? You know, just like different things like that. And of course we've considered adoption. In fact, adoption is something that we want to have in our family one day. But I was actually even at a point after a few years of trying that I was like, John, I'm ready to start fostering. In fact, there was a little girl from the foster kids camp we volunteer at that we were looking into seeing if we could get her out here and live with us. And then there just came to a point where John was just like, I'm just not there yet. And when you're married, you got to be on the same page with that kind of stuff. So I understood that fostering was not in God's plan for us in that moment. But it's not something that's off the table in the future. Yeah. So when people would say things like that to me, I would say, thank you so much. I actually have tried that. Or if somebody would say, hey, have you heard about this person who adopted and then they got pregnant? I would say that's amazing for them, but that's not our story right now. And so I just would learn to lovingly respond in that way. And people, I mean, everybody wants to say the right thing. And so I would just tell people, just say you're praying for me, or just be there with me, cry with me. Just love on me in the sense of just your presence is saying way more than what words could do. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I want to highlight, because there's so many times where even just practically as humans, we want to come to conclusions of things when God is like, just have trust in me, just have faith in me. And so, thank you for sharing that.
And some people say God's timing is best, and some people dealing with infertility get bothered by that. I didn't, because I was like, you're absolutely right. God's timing is best. I don't understand it, but that doesn't discredit the creator of the universe and his perfect timing. So,
yeah. That's so good. I mean, I think that's like that's really like truly one of the things that you really can do to like love someone through something where it's really out of your hands, is like just like cry with them, love them, be by their side, like,
which we definitely had those moments, you know. And to go deeper into the story too, I was doing a certain diet and we did get pregnant, and through a crazy experience I had to go to the ER because I thought I had a cyst rupture, and it turns out I was miscarrying, and I didn't even know I was pregnant until I went to the ER. And so the doctor told me that. I'm of course bawling because I was so excited, and she was like, but you might be miscarrying. So that was a really hard thing to walk through and go through, is, you know, you find out that something happened that you've been praying for years, and then you've lost it in an instant. And so that was really discouraging. But at the same time, although we have a baby in heaven that we get to meet one day, we believed that, okay, God, you did something in my body. It's showing me that I can get pregnant. So now we need that pregnancy to stick.
Wow. Would you say that moment was a moment in your life where, because
it's really easy to go through life where it's like, God, why would you give me something just to take it away? It's really easy to like highlight that, but I love that you saw that as an opportunity of like, wow, actually God is showing me that there is possibility that I can even have a baby. Because at first it was like, not at all. Right?
Yeah, like I didn't know if it was ever possible for me to get pregnant.
Yeah.
And there was some pregnancy or some testing for fertility that had been done that was inconclusive. So we didn't know in some cases if that was working or not. So flash forward, we do all of the things leading up to IUI, and the doctor says, I think you might have endometriosis. And I was like, absolutely not. I was like, no, I have 0 symptoms.
What is that?
Endometriosis is a disease that attacks your uterine wall, and it creates like this scar, and I might be butchering the way it is, but it creates this scar-like tissue, and it just stays. So, but then it can actually move from your uterus to other parts of your body, like your intestines. And throughout this infertility journey, I learned so much about my family history that I didn't know. Like my grandma had endometriosis and had to get like a third of her intestines removed from it. Crazy. So you learn about your family when you go through things like this too. But anyway, so I was like, surely no. And the surgeon said, she's like, well, I've seen it be a pretty sneaky disease. So she's like, worst case, we just go in there and there's nothing there, and we just say, okay, that's one thing checked off the list of, testing to be done. So I had a laparoscopy done, and it turns out I had borderline stage 3 endometriosis, and I had no idea. So she was able to clear it out and take care of it. Through that surgery, we did learn that the inconclusive tests that were done, I actually was okay. So everything was working.
Yeah.
So the surgeon says to me, okay, your next 6 months are the best time for you to get pregnant. After that, the endometriosis can grow back. So I was trying to do like an anti-inflammatory diet just to help keep it away. But then the next 3 months go by and I'm not getting pregnant. And so I was getting discouraged. I was tracking everything. I was doing everything right. And then finally I was just like, you know what, God, I give up. I'm tired of this. I'm done. Not in the sense of I'm giving up on having a family. It's I'm surrendering control. I'm tired of controlling this. This is out of my control. It has been out of my control this whole time. So I have to let go of the mindset that I can do something to make this happen. So sure enough, when I surrendered that control, not only was it an act of surrender in that area, but it actually freed me up to not be bitter towards people who were having their families or upset. Like I would see in the past, I would see a pregnant woman walk in the store and I would be so jealous of her. And I stopped and I was just like, you know what? Like it's okay. I'm going to be okay. It's okay. I need to celebrate other people's victories too. And so with that surrender of control, in fact, I remember very vividly having a conversation with my sister-in-law, Marin, when she asked me how I was doing with all of that. And I was like, I've just given up. I've just given it to God. And I've had enough of worrying about this. And literally that night, not that night, I'm sorry, the next night after having this conversation with her, I had a dream that I was pregnant. And so I told Marin, and I was like, I had a dream I was pregnant. And we were hanging out for my sister's wedding that weekend. And so in the dream, I was wearing my bridesmaid's dress, and I was very pregnant. I was like, wow, that's crazy. And Marin goes, well, you might be pregnant, Bri. And I was like, no, I've had my hopes up too many times for things like this. At that point, it had almost been 4 years. Wow. And I was like, yeah.
4 years of trying?
Of trying.
Wow.
And so I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to get my hopes up. So anyways, the wedding happens, and the day of the wedding is the day I was supposed to start. And so I was a day late at that point, and I was just like, And so I went to the bathroom by myself at this big wedding venue, and I just looked in the mirror, and I said, God, it would be you to come in at the last minute, because it was 6 months on the dot. So anyways, I had that moment in the bathroom, and I was just like, God, it would be you. So I fly back to Fresno from the wedding, and I get really sick. I ran myself ragged for this wedding. It was so much fun, but I got no sleep. And whenever I don't get sleep, I get really sick. So I had this horrible sinus infection, and I never started. So I was like, I'm going to look up and just make sure I can take sinus medicine in case I am pregnant. So I look it up and they're like, yeah, you can't take sinus medicine. So I was like, okay, I have to go to the doctor. Meanwhile, a couple days before this, we were at church and I saw my pastor's wife and I'm crying. And I was like, I don't want to take a pregnancy test in case it's negative. I'm so nervous too. And she was like, Bri, give yourself a week. You have time. It's okay. I was like, okay. So anyways, I go to the doctor a few days later and I was like, I'm already here. Might as well just take a pregnancy test. And my doctor knew my infertility journey too. And so I take the pregnancy test. She comes in and she's like, hey, so tell me about your symptoms. Like, what medicine have you been taking? And I was like, well, I'm really sick, but I've only been taking like Tylenol because I know like if I am pregnant that I shouldn't be taking other stuff like Mucinex or decongestants. And I was like, which by the way, and she smiled at me so big and she goes, you're pregnant.
No way.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I just started bawling and she gave me a huge hug and my husband's not there. So I was like, oh, how am I going to tell him? So anyways, I went home that night and his father was visiting and so I didn't want to make a huge big deal of it with his father here. So I wrote him a note and left it under his pillow and told him that, hey, by the way, I'm 5 weeks pregnant. So
wow.
Yep, and the miracle of that too is we got pregnant the very month that our first baby would have been born.
Wow.
So that was special. And on top of all of that, there was a giving campaign happening at our church, and we had saved up money to do IVF because we had told ourselves, okay, if we're not pregnant by the summer, we'll do IVF in the fall. So we had money saved up for IVF, and I just felt the Lord put it on our hearts to give that money to this giving campaign at our church. And I told my husband and he agreed, and we were like, you know what, the Lord could bless us with the finances for it. He could bless us with the pregnancy, or he could bless us in other ways, but we're just going to trust this money to him. And so we gave that money in December and we were pregnant the next March. So wow. God really, really moves when we step out in faith. And this was a surrender of control. I'm trying to find the words to describe it. It was surrendering control and giving when it doesn't make sense. Because the money that we gave, it didn't make sense to give that much money, but God made sense of it. And he blessed us tenfold because not only did we get pregnant, but within the next month, we actually received all of the money that we gave back in different ways. So it was really cool. Like I added it all up and it was like almost to the dollar amount that we got everything back. Through like our tax return and random surprise paychecks and stuff like that. It was really incredible how God just really used that to bless us. So all that to say, his timing is perfect, even when it doesn't make sense. This little angel of a girl, even if she's tired because it's bedtime, is a miracle. And she's a happy, healthy baby girl. And we praise God for her every day. Her name is Harper. And we named her Harper because that name means worshiper. And so we truly believe she's going to worship Jesus, and we just pray that blessing over her all the time, that she loves the Lord with all of her heart, just like her parents do. Aww. So, yeah. But
I'm crying.
And a Bible story that, it's a Bible character, right? A Bible character that I really resonate with was in Samuel when it says... that we have prayed for a child and the Lord has granted our request. We prayed for this little miracle to come into existence for 4 years. In fact, her nursery is the prayer room that I had. That I would put scripture verses on the wall and just praying and believing that we were going to have a baby. And so I resonate not just with Hannah, but with Elizabeth, with Mary, who had just this immaculate conception. Like, Jesus was a miracle. He is our miracle, right? And so all that to say, there's not really one Bible character I resonate with, but it's the women who in the Bible struggled to have a baby, and yet they got to experience the miracle in God's perfect timing. So,
That's amazing. Okay, I have to tell you how Bri told me she was pregnant. Because, so she texts me and she goes, hey, I have like a paper I want to show you. It was like, can you read over it or something like that? Like, can I show it to you? And like me being like an English major, I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Like, what is it, like a speech, or is it like, I don't know. I was coming up with all these things in my head. And so she FaceTimes me and she shows me the picture, and I like can't figure out what it is because it's an ultrasound picture, you know? And so then I finally realized what it was, and I screamed and like threw my phone. I was like in my car, like threw my phone, and just like uncontrollably started bawling because I'm like, no way, you know? It's just like, oh my gosh. Because it's like when you like walk with someone that goes through something for like that amount of time, like it's like that same thing we're talking about, like you mourn with your friends, like, you know, like your hurt is my hurt and your joy is my joy. And so just like, it was like crazy because I was like, no way this is happening. And I still like, even like coming today, I was like, I still can't believe like baby Harper is here right now. Like it's still not processing in my mind because we prayed for this for so long.
Yeah.
And now it's here. And so anyways, thank you for sharing your story.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for just being so raw and real and vulnerable, because I think that's what people need, you know, like, because there's so many times where we can say like, have faith and trust in God's timing, but like to actually go through that is so different. And like, what does that even look like, you know? Because some people might just be like, oh, like trust in God, okay, like, okay, what do I do? Like, do I write in my journal? Do I sit and I meditate? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
And so like for you saying like that's surrender, which means not necessarily like not caring about the situation, but no longer feeling like you need to have like be over it. Like it's not on you anymore. Yeah. It's like it's on God. And so it's like the how of like your posture. My posture is now changed, and how to like go about this situation.
Yeah. And God was, I should add, God was so good in that, because when you become a parent, you're surrendering that kid to him every day, every moment, every second. This child, I have to literally say, okay, Jesus, she's your baby. She's not mine. You've just blessed me with her. And so, yeah, it really helped prepare me for just even being a mom and understanding, okay, God, you are in control, and I just have to keep surrendering that to you every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. Oh my gosh.
Thanks for having me.
I know it's Harper's bedtime, so we're wrapping it up really quickly.
Sorry, guys. I really wanted to stay longer. She was so good until we got everything set up, and I was like, crap.
This is a blessing. Like, what a blessing it is to have to go away because your baby has to have a bedtime. Like,
yeah.
You know?
That's so true.
So true. She's so chillin'. She knows she owns this house.
Oh, yeah. She owns the place.
Thank you again for sharing your story, being vulnerable, being real, and even having Harper here, because it's like, it's a visual representation of like, here she is, y'all. This is like what we've been praying for so long, and she's so precious, so precious. So if this story resonated with you, 3 things to keep in mind are your waiting season just might be longer because God might be building you to go farther or to give you something better than you would have even ever imagined. And then number 2 is your faith will take you as far as you let it, and also as far as God allows, of course. And then the last thing is what you do in your waiting season actually says a lot more and does a lot more than the situation itself. So those are some things that I felt like were just so important and so amazing from our story.
I would just say, like, don't give up on God's dreams that he's given to you. And yeah, those dreams might have turned out differently. We might have ended up adopting or fostering first. But that doesn't stop God from creating our family. Like he's in control. And so if anything, I wouldn't compare my journey to anybody else's journey who's experiencing infertility, because everybody's journey is different. Just like every marriage and love story is different. It's not something that we can compare as the same thing. So what I experienced, you might not experience. You might go through something different, but that doesn't discredit the miraculous work that God can do through medicine or through food. Even God heals our bodies through food or through rest. I mean, he's gonna do the miracle. We just have to listen to his voice on what that looks like. And for us, it was the steps that we took to have my laparoscopic procedure, and the steps in surrendering mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah. That's so amazing. And so now it's time for you to get up and do something because your day is just beginning. I love it. Say hi, Harper. Hi. Meep. Meep. Come on, Dexter. Say hi to everyone. There he is.
And that's Dexter. Oh, thank you, Bear.
And this is Bear.
You're kidding.
He's like, you can't take me out of the show.